Okay, so clearly the yarn you're seeing at the beginning of the video does not match the thumbnail. Let's talk about it. The hat I'm working on, I don't think I'm going to share the actual pattern. I'm not sure, but let me know in the comments. I just want to emphasize that the issues I had with this pattern were not with the pattern and it was not with the yarn. It was just that the two things did not go together. In the pattern, it said that you could use any bulky yarn, and I should know this, but every bulky yarn is not built the same. And when they said any bulky yarn, they did not mean any bulky yarn. They meant a specific type of bulky yarn, which is not the one I had. So this yarn that I'm using right now is 2 of Juan's Hue and Me, and it's in the color Saffron, which is what y'all voted on. And it's a great color. I love the color. Like I said, I love the yarn, love the pattern, just don't like them together. But the issue was that the pattern called for a much lighter, bulky yarn. I know that may not make sense to you right now, and honestly, the only way that I can explain it, if you've ever used this yarn, there's a yarn called Wonder Fluff by Knit Picks, and that's the type of yarn that they're looking for. It's a really light, airy, bulky yarn. It's classified as bulky because of its thickness, but it's not bulky in terms of density. The yarn I'm using here is thick in terms of density, which created huge issues. I'm not gonna waste too much of your time showing it, but y'all did vote in this yarn, so I don't want y'all just left in the dark. Hopefully this little snippet encourages you to either go download the pattern if I end up sharing it. Let me know if you want the link to it in the comments, or maybe you'll try out this yarn, because again, both are great individually, but not together. Anywho, this is my synopsis of the issues I was going through. Moving along, let's act like none of that happened and go on to the hat in the thumbnail. I am back with another beanie that I plan on working on, and today's beanie that I'm going to start is the Coast to Coast beanie. The really cool thing about this beanie that makes it unique to the ones that I'm doing in this series is that this beanie is knit flat, and I've been wanting to knit a beanie flat for a while now. It uses a worsted weight yarn, so the yarn I'm going to use, I believe, are these two. Of course, mostly black because I love black. And then maybe like a little sliver of this salt and pepper speckle, which I think is gonna look really cute together. I was gonna try to do all three, but as you can clearly see, I know I'm the one that's colorblind, everybody else can see, but these are not the same whites, I can tell that much. So I'm just gonna stick with these two, do a little sliver of this, and I'm just really hoping that salt and pepper comes through with the black. And I think this will be really cute for the winter times. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this pattern. I'll let you know my thoughts as I go through it. Oh, one thing I know I'm not gonna do. So I'll put up a picture of the pattern right now, the completed project right now. And the way everybody's beanie looks, it is very thick brim. Now, I know I could double fold it, and I probably still will, but as a measure to avoid that thick brim, I don't know if I'm either gonna reduce the amount of cast on stitches, because like I said, it's knit flat, so the amount of stitches determines the length of the beanie. So I might eliminate maybe like 4 inches worth of stitches just to not have it be so long, or maybe I'll just make the pattern exactly and make it adjustable. The other thing is that I measured my head, and according to the pattern, I fall right in between the measurements of an adult medium or an adult small. I do want it to fit snugly, but I think I'm gonna do the adult medium. So I'm winging all this. I've done my measurements, all that type of stuff, but I'm gonna do a gauge swatch because I don't ever do that. I'm gonna do a gauge swatch because it's flat, so it's not that complicated. I'm gonna do a gauge swatch really quick, then I'll get started on the hat. So like I said, this is the Coast to Coast beanie by Claire Jackson. I will say that this pattern comes in 2 different weights. It comes in a DK Coast to Coast beanie pattern, and there's a worsted Coast to Coast beanie pattern. I don't think the worsted one says that in the title though. I think you just know it by looking at the description on Ravelry, but the DK one definitely says it in the title. So I'm using the worsted weight one. When it comes to sizes of this beanie, it ranges all the way from newborn to adult large, so huge range. It gives you the stitch count for each size. The construction of this beanie is flat, like I said. When you want to determine how long to make your beanie, meaning from the crown of your head to, I guess, your nose, that will be the length of your beanie based on the stitches. And when it comes to the circumference of your head, how it'll fit around, that is determined by the number of rows you have in your beanie. So I don't think I'm gonna do the whole gauge swatch because that's actually gonna take a while. The main thing I wanted to practice was this little edge because it's a little bit different, which you can't even see. But there's this little edge that is pretty neat, and this one is just a normal edge, but that's the edge that's gonna be the outside brim, on the outside brim of the hat. So I really wanted to practice that on the gauge swatch. I may do a couple more just so I feel a little bit more confident because that's new to me. I also wanted to see how this white worked up, and it's not as pretty as I thought. So I think I'm just gonna do black and white, but that seems so boring because I'm always doing that, but I love black or white. So yeah, I'm gonna use, instead of using the speckled color, I'm just gonna use these two colors. I may change my mind on that, we'll see. Okay, so I'm now very confident in this edge. You can see it quite a bit more clearly here. Does it focus? Kind of. But yeah, it's like a nice little stretchy edge. This is the right side of the project, and this is the wrong side. For the most part, they look the same, so if you get them mixed up, I don't think it's a big deal. Still not sure if I'm gonna use this yarn, but I do think this will look better because I don't really like the white color. I prefer this creamy color with the black incorporated into it. So I'm just gonna play it by ear and get started with the black. I also need to shorten out this cord. I chose the longest one for some reason. I definitely need a much shorter one because this was getting annoying as I was going from row to row. But yeah, I'm gonna get started on my hat. And the 5, because I never say this, the 5mm needles work for me to get the gauge that I needed. But this one seems pretty easy. There's not too much I can do to mess up on it, except if I choose the wrong colors, which I don't plan on doing. So I finished my cast on for my stitches, and it literally goes from like the top center of my head all the way to my nose. And I don't think I'm gonna take off stitches. I'm just gonna do the double folding if I hate how long it is, but it's in black, so you won't be able to see much, but I'm still gonna get started. In terms of using 2 different colors, as much as I would love to take credit for that being my own original idea, I did, and I don't know that she did this, but I'm pretty sure she did. I did look at the projects on Ravelry. There was one maker that made a beanie in like this orangish, yellowish color, and it was beautiful. And how it looked was that she did something similar to what I'm trying to do. It was like she had a main color and then like a variegated color mixed within it. Now my black and white speckle is a lot more dramatic than hers is. I feel like hers blended really, really well. Not that mine doesn't, but mine just has way more contrast in the colors. But the idea of doing the small sliver and the big sliver of white definitely came from what at least I thought I saw on this maker's completed project. I think it turned out so cute. And honestly, I followed her on Instagram and she has really pretty makes. So if you want to check out her for some inspiration, I would highly recommend checking out her projects. To me, the beauty of knitting flat, I feel like maybe it's just a mind game, but I feel like it didn't take as long as knitting in the round. That probably is definitely just me. Also, I'm comparing it to a knit in the round beanie that I did that was not just a simple stitch. This one just has one stitch, it's garter stitch, so it's very easy to do. It's the same on the wrong side and the right side, but this hat did go by very quickly regardless of your level of knitting, in my opinion. I also thought that the instructions that were given in the pattern were really good, very clear. She also provided tutorials for any parts that were kind of special to the hat. She showed you how to seam up the side, and honestly, I would practice that just to be on the safe side before you complete a whole hat. Maybe when you're doing your gauge swatch, go ahead and seam up the side to make sure that it looks seamless, because if you have a seam that's very noticeable, either under the brim or on top of the hat, it can kind of make your project look a little bit weird. So I would practice that before you get started on the whole project. Other than that, this is a great pattern if you're a beginner knitter, or if you're not a knitter at all and you want to knit a beanie. I say this is the one to go with. It's easy, very beginner friendly, and the little brim edge that I was trying to perfect, it may be a little extreme for a beginner, but the tutorials are amazing. It's not that hard. You'll just need to practice, and I will practice again on your gauge swatch, not on your actual hat. If you make it, please let me know how you enjoy the pattern. Okay, so I'm officially done with the coast to coast beanie, and I love how it turned out. Here's a little final look. The way I'm styling it is just with these gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt. I put this little wig cap on to kind of keep my hair down. If you watch the Mariner's cap video, which I'm not sure if that will come out before or after this one, but this is how I keep my hair down because I do have a wash and go going right now. Or you could just wear a mini twist and you wouldn't have to put your hair down. And I want this a little off to the side. Little white stripe, because that makes it look like half and half. This is so cute. All of these beanies go so well with my glasses. I don't know if that's just me or if I'm crazy, but that's what I think. But yeah, this is cute. The top is probably the least flat beanie out of the whole series that I made, but it's not just crazy bulky to me. Yeah, it's just not as flat as some of the other ones. I like it though. I think I really like it. And I do like that I did the little color adjustment. That was a bit different. I was also worried about how it would look on the underside because I know that pearl stitch would look a little bit weird, but I don't think it looks that bad at all either. I think this is a win. I outdid myself with this beanie as well. The knitting flat was a bit different. This doesn't have too much stretch, but it does have stretch. I guess I'm comparing this to the other beanies I made. So out of all three, I would say this probably has the least amount of stretch, but it does clearly stretch. So it's not that there is no stretch here. Also, I will leave a link to the video. She did provide a video for how to seam up the side, but I found a little YouTube short that actually helped me a little bit better. And I seamed up the side where you really can't tell. Can you tell? No. So it's right, I can't tell. It's right in here. Which, yeah, the video is not it looks the same as the entire beanie, so that's really nice. I thought it would be detectable, but yeah, you cannot detect it at all. And I think that's the key, honestly, with the flat beanie, is if you can't seam up the side, then it might not come out great. Also, this edge, because I folded mine twice, but the edge does look nice. Let me try to just make it thicker. I don't think I like this look, but let me try that. I don't hate this look. But yeah, this kind of makes it so that edge that I was working so hard on shows up. I don't mind. Either way looks better. Actually, no, I do mind. I want to fold it twice because I like the way it looks better. So it does hide that edge. So if you already know that you're gonna fold it twice, don't even worry about doing that edge really nicely. You could just do it however you want. This is cute. I love it. I cannot wait till it gets cold outside, but it's Houston's. We have quite a few more months, but it is cooler. It's just not cold enough for a beanie, so I gotta wait a little while longer. So if you want to make the coast to coast beanie, I highly recommend making it. I love how this turned out. It's so cute.